reading the second part of your message, my heart sank. And I'm really sorry. For sure fell short. And you worked really hard on that. And the way you framed it and how that made you feel, I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability. I feel really grateful that you feel safe enough to tell me that that's how you feel.
In what may prove to be a pivotal moment in one of Hollywood's most contentious legal battles, Blake Lively appears to have fundamentally altered her litigation strategy following what sources describe as a damaging deposition. The actress, who previously built her entire case around allegations of a coordinated smear campaign orchestrated by It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni and his production company Wayfair, has now seemingly abandoned that central narrative in favor of a more narrow defamation claim targeting the defendant's attorney.
Alleges that Brian Friedman Esquire defamed Lively and that his conduct has amounted to public relations work rather than that of an attorney. It appears that Lively is slowly realizing that there is no retaliatory smear campaign by the Wayfair parties against her.
This strategic pivot, revealed through recently filed court documents, suggests that Lively's legal team may be grappling with the reality that their initial allegations lack sufficient evidentiary support. The implications of this shift extend far beyond a simple tactical adjustment. They potentially signal the beginning of a case collapse that could have profound consequences for celebrity litigation strategy and the entertainment industry's approach to public relations crises.
Consequently, Lively is shifting her focus to Liner Friedman in connection with her 14th cause of action, which alleges that certain Wayfair parties, through their attorney Friedman, purportedly defamed her via post-litigation.
The stakes in this legal confrontation could not be higher. For Lively, the outcome will likely determine not only her financial liability, but also her professional reputation and future career prospects. For Baldoni and Wayfair Productions, vindication through the legal system represents their only path to restoring reputations that have been severely damaged by months of negative publicity.
Law provides an absolute privilege for communications made by individuals participating in a public function, such as executive, legislation, judicial, or quasi-judicial proceedings.
These can weaponize the legal system to silence criticism and control public narrative through intimidation tactics. The origins of this legal dispute trace back to the production and promotion of It Ends With Us, a film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel about domestic violence. What began as creative differences between Lively and director Justin Baldoni evolved into a full-scale public relations war, culminating in Lively's decision to file complaints with the California Civil Rights Department and subsequently pursue federal litigation in New York. Lively's initial strategy centered on portraying herself as the victim,
aggressively pursuing discovery for a defamation claim that will surely be dismissed upon a dispositive motion.
Fair Productions and crisis management professionals orchestrated a coordinated effort to damage her reputation through social media manipulation and negative press coverage. These allegations formed the foundation of her harassment and retaliation claims under employment discrimination statutes. The defendants in this case represent different facets of the entertainment industry ecosystem. Justin Baldoni, serving as both director and co-star, found himself cast as the primary antagonist in Lively's narrative. Wayfair Productions, as the film's production company, became entangled as an alleged co-conspirator in the purported smear campaign. Perhaps most controversially, attorney Brian Friedman, representing the Wayfair parties, has now become a direct target of Lively's legal strategy, an unprecedented move that has drawn criticism from legal professionals. The case operates within the complex framework of New York employment law, where anti-retaliation statutes provide protection for employees who report workplace misconduct. However, these same laws require plaintiffs to demonstrate concrete adverse employment actions and establish causal connections between protected activity and alleged retaliation. The litigation privilege doctrine, which provides broad protection for communications made in connection with legal proceedings, adds another layer of complexity to defamation claims arising from legal disputes. Recent court filings reveal that Lively's deposition testimony has exposed critical weaknesses in her legal position. According to defense attorneys, when questioned under oath about the specific details of the alleged ongoing smear campaign, Lively could only identify activities related to the defendant's legitimate legal defense efforts. This admission represents a fundamental blow to her core allegations and explains the sudden strategic pivot toward defamation claims. The redacted portions of court documents suggest that Lively's testimony contradicted key elements of her public narrative. While the specific details remain sealed, the context indicates that her admissions undermined claims about the scope and nature of any coordinated campaign against her. Legal observers note that such contradictions between public statements and deposition testimony often signal deeper problems with a plaintiff's case. In what legal professionals describe as an unusual and potentially problematic move, Lively's attorneys have chosen to directly target Brian Friedman, the attorney representing the Wayfair defendants. This strategy involves attempting to transform Friedman from opposing counsel into a fact witness, thereby potentially disqualifying him from representing his clients. The tactic requires allegations that Friedman's public statements and media appearances cross the line from legal representation into public relations work. This targeting of opposing counsel represents a significant escalation that has drawn criticism from the legal community. Experienced litigators generally avoid such tactics due to their potential to backfire and their tendency to antagonize judges who expect professional courtesy between attorneys. The strategy also opens Lively's own legal team to similar scrutiny, creating a dangerous precedent that could undermine the traditional boundaries of attorney-client relationships in high-profile litigation. The litigation privilege doctrine stands as one of the most robust protections in American jurisprudence, providing absolute immunity for communications made in connection with legal proceedings. This privilege exists to ensure that parties can present their cases fully and honestly, without fear of subsequent defamation claims. In New York, this protection extends not only to formal court filings, but also to public statements made by attorneys and parties when those statements relate to pending litigation. Lively's legal strategy reveals a fundamental contradiction in her approach to this privilege. Her initial complaints and public statements relied heavily on litigation privilege to shield her allegations from defamation liability. Her attorneys made numerous inflammatory public statements characterizing Baldoni and others as sexual predators and abusers, confident that these communications would receive privilege protection. However, when the defendants attempted to respond using the same legal framework, Lively's team issued cease and desist demands claiming that such responses constituted retaliation. This double standard reflects a broader pattern of attempting to control the narrative while denying opponents the same rights. The cease and desist letters sent to defense counsel represent an unprecedented attempt to silence legitimate legal defense activities. By characterizing the defendants' exercise of their litigation privilege as retaliation, Lively's team sought to create a legal framework where only their side could speak publicly about the case. Legal precedent strongly supports the defendants' position on this issue. Courts have consistently held that responding to public allegations through media statements and legal filings cannot constitute adverse employment action when done in the context of legitimate legal defense. The principle that defendants have an equal right to litigation privilege protection ensures that legal proceedings remain adversarial rather than one-sided public relations campaigns. Perhaps the most troubling aspect of Lively's litigation strategy has been the issuance of 107 subpoenas targeting content creators, journalists, and social media commentators who have covered the case or expressed opinions critical of her position. This sweeping discovery campaign appears designed more to intimidate and silence critics than to gather relevant evidence for her legal claims.